list.
Said there's an A and a B.
Hey, let me see if I can find the B here. This be the second page. Yeah, I was looking for like 1 and a 2.
Huh? They're out in my car. I bring them in. I remembered them, but it's until I got in the car. You got any big holiday vacation plans this year, dude? No? I just got back from Michigan yesterday. Still head fishing up there. We busted our humps.
Really?
Yeah.
Surprised.
Yeah, every time I've been up there before, we slaughtered them. I fished 2 days and got 2 fish. There just weren't any in the river. Then I turkey hunt and do all that stuff at my farm, so been doing that, but no traveling except to Michigan.
Now we're gonna go out of the country on Saturday and see if they'll let us back in.
Where are you going?
Canada. We're taking the train across Canada
Oh man, that'd be cool.
to Vancouver, from Toronto. So that'll be fun.
Yep. 1 minute, I got.
Look like there's any opposition here.
Yep. Maybe us. Okay, my phone shows that it's 7 o'clock. Hereby call this meeting to order. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. All of us that can. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome to the meeting of the St. Charles County Board of Adjustments. I'm the board's chairman, Jerry Prinster. The duties of the board include hearing appeals to vary the zoning requirements to provide relief when the conditions of a property prevent development consistent with the intent or purpose of the applicable zoning regulations, and to render decisions on appeals from an action of the Director of the Division of Planning and Zoning when it has been alleged that a permit has been incorrectly issued or denied. The board members here are citizen volunteers who are appointed by the county executive with county council approval. County board members are also present to assist with proceedings and advise the board. At this time, we ask that everybody please mute whatever devices you have that'll make noises. During this meeting, each case will begin with a presentation by the applicant, which is typically limited to 5 minutes. County staff will then have an opportunity to provide relevant information for the board to consider. Any written communications from public will be entered into the record. The board will then take public testimony relevant to whether or not granting of the requested variance would be appropriate. All persons planning to speak at tonight's meeting must first complete a speaker's card and hand it to the recording secretary. I lost my place already. Blank cards are located on the podium. Each speaker approaching the podium, easy for me to say, should submit their card, state their name, and be sworn in. Testimony is typically limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Once testimony has concluded, I will close the public hearing and no further input from the audience will be taken. A board member will move to approve the application so that discussion and a vote may take place. As required by county ordinance, at least 4 of the 5 board members must vote in the affirmative for a variable request to be approved. Now, we only have 4 members here today, so that will have to be a unanimous 4-person vote. Any decision of the Board of Zoning Adjustments may be appealed to the county council within 14 working days after notification of the Board of Zoning Adjustments decision has been mailed. The Unified Development Ordinance and zoning maps for St. Charles County are hereby entered into the record. Please read the start of the public hearing. I hereby open this public hearing in this case. Secretary, would you read the first variance request?
Variance request for 2934 Highway 94 South, application number VAR 25-01, property owner Joe Brazel, applicant Bax Engineering Jeff Simmons. Variance requested, a request to vary 405.500.B.4A of the ordinances of St. Charles County to authorize installation of a new private sewage disposal system on a parcel less than 1 acre. And B, a request to vary section 405.350.C2 of the ordinances of St. Charles County, Missouri for floodplain standards for the design and placement of on-site waste disposal systems. Property zoning is agricultural with floodway fringe overlay. Parcel area is 0.66 acres in total, or 14,400 square feet, for lot 13 and lot 20.
Okay, and that location is also referenced there, 2934 Highway 94 South.
Yes.
Okay, is a property owner, applicant, or representative here to speak on this appeal?
Yes.
Have you signed a speaker card?
I did.
Jeff, thank
Yes.
you. Let's see, I'm supposed to swear at you now. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and address.
Jeff Simmons, Bax Engineering, 221 Point West Boulevard, St. Charles.
Okay. Please proceed.
Good evening. We appreciate you hearing us tonight. I'm here with Joe Brazel, the property owner, regarding the property at 2934 South Highway 94 in Defiance. This first aerial picture is just kind of an overview of the property. The south part of the red area where there's the existing house is one lot, and then the area to the north between that house and there is a landscape company to the north is a second platted lot. Currently along the back behind the barn, I don't know oh, there we go. There's an alley, an old alley. The alley extends along the Katy Trail, but is not part of the Katy Trail. This part down here has been vacated, but we don't find any documentation that this is vacated. This will all be relevant here in just a minute. So we have the existing lots. The one with the existing house is shown here in blue. And then the one that's vacant currently is shown in green with that alley that we discussed here it's kind of an orange-yellow. Also note that there is an existing extension of 4th Street, which is really just a paper street. There's a driveway that's shared here along there. So realizing that these lots are smaller, Joe decided to do what he could to increase the size of these lots to make them at least closer to the acre, although we're still a little bit off. So what he's planning to do, and he's got applications in to vacate this right-of-way here, 4th Street, and that property will be split between Joe's property and the neighboring property. And then also the easement, we've got a request in, or the access alley, we've got a request in to vacate that as well. So upon vacation, the plan is then to shift the lot line from right about here down to here, resulting in an additional almost 4,000 square feet for each lot. Not much, but it's the best he can do because he is landlocked between the Katy Trail, the landscape business, the additional property here that has a house on it, and Highway 94. So there is no room here to get any additional property. So the site characteristics kind of went over the lots. We are going from 11,000 almost 900 square feet to 15,617 square feet. The majority of the lot is in floodplain. The existing home is above floodplain, flood elevation. We've done a letter of map revision, we've removed that from the flood elevation. The house is above that. The low sills of the house are above that. We plan to do the same on the proposed house. So he's planning on proposing a house on the northern lot. That site will be raised to fall within accordance of the flood regulations, and we will certify that. Our surveyors will certify that. These lots, established in 1908, they were platted way back then before zoning was even in existence in St. Charles County. So therefore, we're unable to change the lot size. We're bound on each side. We're doing the best we can to increase the lot size what we can, but he can't really change that. It was established prior to zoning and prior to all of the rules and regulations. And the other thing is there's no public sanitary sewer in Defiance. So what you'll find as you go up and down the street, there are many, many homes, many, many businesses that are falling within this same problem. There are lots that are smaller than the required 1 acre minimum. And these lots to be developed, with septic system, many of them, they cannot be increased in size. Just up the street, there is an existing bed and breakfast with 4 kitchens, 5 bathrooms on a 1/4 acre lot. So it's typical here. The issue with Joe's property is that he owns both of these properties. It's not he owns one and the adjacent property is owned by somebody else and they're trying to develop it. But since they are 2 separately platted lots, he would like the ability to replace the septic system on his existing lot and then construct a septic system on his new lot. And that's really why we're here and requesting these 2 variances. Joe, is there anything else you'd like to add at this point?
Is down in Defiance in Technical Town there.
Did you
We're
turn
trying-
a card in, Joe?
I did, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Please state your name.
Joe Brazel, 20 Walnut Springs, Defiance, Missouri, 63341.
Thank you.
So in town, there's a lot of older houses that get run down and they just look terrible. And so I started buying them. I've done 2 so far. I bought Patty's house. It was built in 1902 or 1904. Did a great job. Same situation. Redid it. It's a VRBO now. The house next to it, the little greenhouse, is a 2-bedroom old house. I totally remodeled it. It looks really nice. And so this one here was John Lacey's old house, and it was built in 1904. And so when we go in there, we all new plumbing, all new mechanical, all new electric, all new drywall, all new windows, new roof, everything. It looked great. And so we're just trying to clean up the town. So this house is existing, has all the septic tanks have to be replaced, and the lots were existing. So when Back surveyed it, we were going to put in a strip. I met with Robert, and we were trying to do stuff different with Defiance, but it's locked because of the flood zone, the creek. So we were going to do 120-foot with 3 retail and a couple of apartments and stuff that. We met with staff. They love the idea. We're trying to get other stuff come, like an ice cream shop and other stuff, make it a little more convenient for people to come down to tourism and stuff. But I mean, Robert will share with you, the UDO is it doesn't fit everybody. It doesn't fit Defiance because we're in the floodplain, and the lots were developed in the early 1900s, and we have the Katy Trail, we got the creek, and so it just makes it very hard for us to fit into a category where we can actually revitalize downtown Defiance. It makes it nearly impossible. And the staff is aware of that. And they're looking at changing some UDOs, but we can't do that now because we're starting to recognize it. And we can't change UDOs for my project because it isn't the right thing to do. But we're going through this process to get a variance. And like Jeff said, most of the properties down there are small lots anyway, and that's your only option is just. And we designed it. I got a design here. I don't know if you care, but I had an engineered design, which the county told me to do all this stuff. So I did everything I was supposed to do. And it's engineered to work in that area, and that's sealed and everything. I paid to have that done, and the engineer guy, well, he didn't understand why we needed a variance because he said, well, it's engineered to work. This is exactly what you need to do. And so I said, well, I'll just tell him that that's what I did, and I did everything I was told to do. And so those are just some of the things that we've been doing down there. So that's about it, Jeff. Is there anything else?
No, if there's anything to add, we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Hold on with staff. Robert, you got comments?
No, I've got a short presentation whenever you're ready, but I don't want to interrupt. Any questions you might have?
Is your presentation going to be in reference to this variance?
Yeah.
Well, we have that now.
I have a quick question.
Go.
So I just want to be clear. So you're going to replace one septic system that's existing,
Correct.
okay? And you're wanting to create a second and build another house adjacent
On the other lot, yes.
on the other lot,
Yeah.
correct?
Uh-huh.
The total acreage, including the proposed half of the right-of-ways, is only .66?
That's correct.
Total,
Correct.
okay? Wanted to make sure I understood.
How big are these houses gonna be?
Oh, the farmhouse is about 1,000 square foot, 1,200. I'm not really sure. It's an existing house. The other one would be similar. There's just small houses. It's a farmhouse, the one I'm remodeling. I already started remodeling. I already got all the permits. It's half done. You know, it's getting drywall next week. And the other one will be similar. The one next to it will be small.
Okay, Robert, why don't you go ahead with your,
Sure.
that'll be part of our decision, I assume.
Okay. I'll try not to repeat too much, but
Who poked you?
I got the better of them.
Some lefty guy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the essence of this application is, there's 2 variances, 2 separate variances, and we request you consider each one and vote on both of them separately.
Okay,
But they both involve installation of a new on-site sewage treatment system. You may know that if you have an existing house and your sewage treatment system goes bad and you have to replace it, it doesn't matter what the lot size is, you can replace the system, but it's gotta be designed to work on that size of a lot and all the parameters of that lot, you know, the depth to the water and all that. So the house that's up here That can be done without a variance, but it's the lot next door that's vacant that we're really talking about tonight. So Defiance was platted along the Katy Railroad back in I think the first phase was maybe the 1890s. This phase was in 1908. And so in 1908, they platted uniformly. The lots were 80 feet wide and I think it was 150 feet deep. So they were 12,000 square foot lots. This has, Mr. Brazel owns 2 lots side by side platted in 1908 that are 12,000 square feet in area, plus the old alley behind that's part of his deed. So zoning didn't come along until 1959. So in 1959, when zoning came along, I would consider this to be, I haven't talked to Brian about this, but I would consider it to be a legal lot of record because it predates the zoning, and they haven't modified the lot boundary since then. And so in 1959, it was a legal lot of record, and at that time, in 1959, they required only 18,000 square foot lots to put on an on-site sewage treatment system. Since that time, county ordinance have changed. So it went from 18,000 square foot lot for an on-site sewage treatment system to a 1 acre and to a 3 acre. Today, if you have a vacant lot and you want to put an on-site sewage treatment system on it, it's got to be, the standard is that it's going to be 3 acres. But if you have an existing lot, county staff can review it on a case-by-case basis between 1 acres and 3 acres. And as long as you have a system that is designed to work on that 1 to 3 acre parcel, the county staff can approve that without having to get any variances. Well, this unfortunately doesn't even meet the 1 acre requirement. It's less than 1 acre. So the ordinance doesn't give us any latitude in order to say yes. We just have to say no because it doesn't meet that 1 acre requirement. So that's where we're at with in that regard. So let's see, I've covered that. They've talked about the topography and the floodplain regulations. So the lot drops off about 10 feet from front to back. About 82% of this lot, of this parcel, is in the flood zone. So if you were going to build the drain field for an on-site sewage treatment system outside of the flood zone, you'd have to put it along the front of the lot, right next to Highway 94. You could have it like in the front 30 feet of the lot. And so the way I understand it is typically when you put in an on-site sewage treatment system, the lid of the system is either supposed to be raised up so that the tank doesn't flood, or the lid's supposed to be tight so the tank doesn't flood. And the drain field typically is outside the flood zone, so the drain field doesn't get flooded. In other words, so when the floodwaters come up, you still have a system that works. But I think there's an exception in the sewage treatment code that if it's not possible whatsoever on the lot anywhere, they'll allow you to put in a drain field in the floodplain. But that's if there's not any other possibility located elsewhere on the lot. So the way I understand it, there's 2 aspects of this application. One is the minimum lot size of less than 1 acre, and the other is the placement of the placement of the drain field, so it doesn't have to be out in front of the house along the roadway. Instead, it could be elsewhere on the property, like they're wanting to do here with this one, which would be in the flood zone. Let's see here. I covered those aspects. Potential for parcel enlargement. So sometimes people can make up, they can enlarge their undersized parcel to meet that 1 acre, and then they can put on an on-site sewage treatment system. In this case, they're landlocked. They've got the Katy Trail behind them, the 4th Street right-of-way, Highway 94, and the nursery. So I took a quick look at how much property of the nursery they'd have to buy in order to meet the minimum 1 acre, and they basically have to buy 2/3 or 3/4 of the nursery property. I mean, like all the way up to the driveway. So it's not like they could just like move the lot line over a few feet. I mean, it would basically take out the nursery if they wanted to get that 1 acre. The other thing I would mention is that another interesting aspect of this application is it is in the town of Defiance, a little bit like Orchard Farm. It was platted along the railroad. That was platted back, long before zoning and long before these requirements for the on-site sewage treatment system. So I suppose there is a certain expectation that people could build on lots in Defiance and Orchard Farm. So I think there probably is there, to a certain degree, an expectation of that. To put it kind of crudely, kind of ask the question, if people can't use these on-site sewage treatment systems in Defiance, is Defiance done? Because can you do anything in Defiance? Can you build anything, There's a bar in the corner there of Highway 94 South and whatever the side street is there, I forget. But they're on a little postage stamp sized lot, tiny little lot with a creek running behind it. I have no idea how they deal with their sewage for that bar,
They probably just run it into that creek.
I don't know how they deal with it. But to get into the variance criteria, there's 4 criteria that we always ask under the code. We're to review this under these 4 criteria. And they have to, under the code, they have to meet all 4 of the criteria. It can't just meet 3 of the criteria or 1 or anything like that. So when you look strictly by the criteria, which I will go over real quickly. 1, the variance is requested due to unique circumstances inherent to the specific piece of property and not to the personal considerations of the property owner. I mean, are there things that are specific to this or unique to this property and you could look at that in 2 ways, I think. One is that, does it go with the land? Would any property owner have the same problem? That's one question. But on the other hand, are there other people is this unique? Because there are other parcels in Defiance that are in the same boat. And there's all on the east side of Defiance, on the Highway 94, there's a whole string of parcels that are in the flood zone, and they're all dealing with the same thing. And so in that regard, I guess you could say it's not unique. Then the second question is, the variance is not needed as a result of an affirmative act of the property owner that could have been avoided through a different course of action. I don't think that I don't think that this is a result of an affirmative act of the property owner that could have been avoided through a different course of action. Number 3, the variance would not merely grant a special benefit to the property beyond what is enjoyed by other properties regulated by the same set of zoning regulations. And then number 4, the application would result in practical difficulties to the property owner, provided that relief can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without substantially impairing the intent, purpose, and integrity of the zoning regulations. This one, I can see that there's definitely practical difficulties by applying these zoning regulations, but I also think that it'd be difficult to say that relief can be granted without undermining the intent and purpose integrity of the zoning regulations, because the intent, purpose, and of the zoning regulations have to do with public health in terms of the sewage disposal. And also, likewise, the same 4 standards are to be applied to the second variance, which has to do with, as the way I understand it, is where to place the drain field where the drain field should normally be placed on site. Typically, again, it's outside of the flood zone, unless there's no possibility of doing so. So the options you have are to approve the requested variance without conditions, to approve the requested variance with conditions, or deny the requested variances. And I would, again, recommend that if you all could please consider and vote on each one separately. County staff our advice is that it doesn't meet all 4 criteria for each of the 4, but we also have, if you should decide that it does meet the criteria, we have suggested conditions that you could use for your consideration if you do choose to approve with conditions.
Did you understand what he just said?
Yep.
I can
You're
explain.
saying if we approve it,
Well, I would say our advice is it doesn't meet all 4 of the criteria for each one, but You have the opportunity to approve this without conditions, approve it with conditions, or deny it. Those are your three options. And that's up to you. If you do approve or if you do choose to approve them with conditions, rather than you have to come up with conditions on the fly, we have in our memo on page 707, we have some suggested conditions for your consideration. That way you don't have to struggle to come up with wording. But again, you could choose to ignore those suggestions. You could do your own. It's really up to you.
Okay, is there anybody else want to speak on behalf of this request?
If I may, while you were talking, Joe and I spoke for a minute. The existing house, the configuration would be like that. Joe is willing to actually set the other house back, bring in some fill, so we can put that septic field in the front towards Highway 94 and raise that septic field. And he'll have to pump, the septic through, but he'd be willing to do that in the front of the house and just set his house a little further back and raise it a little bit more, raise that rear part of the lot a little bit more to accommodate and be above the floodplain.
Are these going to be used as single-family residence, or is it going to be any potential use for a commercial purpose?
No, single family.
And if it changed to commercial, they have to get a variance or rezoning, I assume.
Yeah, it would be different.
I just don't want to make it,
Yeah.
hey, in 10 years it becomes a bar and there's 300 people taking a leak at the same time and it
You know,
becomes a disaster.
That would be up to you in terms of conditions. I mean, if you could place a condition, but I would say that the sewage, let me put it this way, these systems are designed specifically for that lot and for whatever is the amount of sewage that's being treated. So the amount of sewage that's being treated, it's all based on like the number of bedrooms and bathrooms and that kind of stuff. And if it's commercial, it's totally different. I mean, might have to be approved by the state of Missouri, actually, if it's if it's a system for a commercial operation.
And
I'll give
Rob-
an example, the wineries, I think those are all now supposed to be approved by the state of Missouri, things like that.
And we would, to use it for commercial, there may be a couple of uses that are approved under agricultural, but really, because of the lot size, we would have to rezone
Yeah.
to utilize it as commercial.
That's true, yeah, because it's zoned agricultural now, the lot. The zoning is all over the place in Defiance. I mean, there's agricultural, industrial, commercial. This lot is zoned agricultural. And typically on agricultural lots, you're supposed to have a building setback of like 40 feet on the side yard, except for lots of less than 1 acre, you can have a 7-foot side yard setback for zoning purposes. So in that regard, it doesn't need to be rezoned to build a house on that vacant lot. But really, the main crux of why we're here is just that on-site sewage treatment system.
So I want to be clear about what A and B are.
Right.
On this. So I need that explained to me, so. You said that we don't need a variance for this existing one, correct?
Right. Yeah, for this is called Lot 20, where the existing house is.
All right.
There's no variance needed for that one.
Okay, so the A and B are strictly to do with Lot 13 and developing Lot 13.
Yeah, that's the way I see it. Is that, Brian, is that what you're thinking?
I believe that's correct, yes.
Yeah, because the code says that if you have an existing house and you need to replace your system for an existing house, it doesn't matter what the lot size is.
Sure.
You can replace it as long as it's designed in a way that's going to work on that lot.
Has there been anything like this up and down the east side of 94 before in Defiance where somebody's wanted to install on a small lot?
In Defiance, I don't remember any offhand. I know that the Wine Bistro, they put on-site sewage treatment system in some years back, like 2013 or something like that.
Yeah, and then Dan's got the brewery there now.
Yeah, and it's Good News Brewery. I wouldn't doubt if other systems have been replaced on that side of 94. I don't remember any new ones going in. We did have a case near Augusta a few years ago where they had a half-acre lot, and It was, they wanted to put on-site sewage treatment on that half-acre lot. It's a little bit different, I would say, because it wasn't in a town where there's the same expectations, and they were able to, ultimately, they were able to extend a sewage lateral 200 feet or 500 feet or whatever that length was to tie into a manhole. So they were able to luckily solve that problem. But
So since Mr. Brazel owns both lots, there's no way that they could share a septic system?
I don't know the answer to that. The way I understand it is, usually there's one system on each lot,
lot.
because if you sell the house,
Sure.
Yeah.
I spoke with somebody at a different capacity in the adjoining county, and they said, ask the question, because they've experienced where two residences can share a septic system, as long as, and they had a series of agreements,
right,
you know, and things like that. And I just thought I would ask it and see if that was
Yeah.
something that was, might be a, you know, I don't know if it'd work or not, but.
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, I just thought I'd ask the question.
Yeah,
I
typically they're on separate lots, so that can be sold, you know, the houses
Sure.
can be sold
I get,
independently.
yeah, I get that.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you, sir.
No, I don't know the answer to that either.
Okay.
I have no additional public comment. I will close the public hearing on this application. And I have a motion of approval for variance VAR 25-01A.
I'll make a recommendation for the first one, with the county's, conditions and the added condition on Mr. Brazel's, is gonna raise the land and put it in the front yard.
That one would be, I think, B, the raising of the lot. I think that one would be.
Okay. I just wanna make sure that on my recommendation, that's what I'm gonna put in there for.
I guess my question is, if they're gonna raise the lot, what makes a difference whether you put it in front or back?
It keeps you out of the flood zone.
Yeah, but if you raise it, it'd be out of the floodplain, right?
There's less to raise in the front.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The house, we can work with the foundation.
You
Okay.
said there was a 10 feet
Yeah.
grade difference?
Okay, thank you.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
John?
I still want to understand what exactly A is here.
A is installing a new on-site sewage treatment system on a lot less than 1 acre. That's why,
And
Yeah.
that's A.
yep.
My vote is no.
Is no, okay? If we have a no vote, that does not pass, because we have to have a unanimous vote. Now, my question is, if we have a no on that, do we proceed with B?
Let's still take a vote on B, yes, so
Okay.
that he has, whether it passes or not, it's the opportunity to appeal toward the council.
I'll make the motion with the county's conditions and also the added, Mr. Brazel's gonna raise it and put it in the front yard.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Do it individually so Kevin can keep score.
Oh, okay.
And this is to raise the lot so that we can put the house on it and put it in the front yard.
Just lateral in
Yeah.
front yard.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Oh, you waiting on me to
It's-
vote?
I'll go yes.
Okay,
Yes.
John? Okay, how about you?
I'll say yes on that one.
Okay. And I will say yes also, so we've got a unanimous okay on that one. So Joe, what does that do for you?
I'm sorry, Judge?
You're still sworn in.
Okay, yes.
You can take that one to the council, I guess, right?
That would be, if it's in how they, be appealed to the council, the next step, yep, on that one.
One is approved, one's denied.
So the vacant lot's approved with the criteria of raising, right?
raising and the conditions recommended by the county staff.
Mr. Meyer said he's already grandfathered in on the other one, so why does he need to go to the council?
We're not voting on that. The first one, to put the septic system in a lot less than an acre was
Okay,
voted no.
okay.
So the second one, to put it elevated in the front yard, was passed.
Now, I may not be understanding this. Where is the existing house? On what?
There isn't one.
There is one.
There is one.
If you're
Joe,
able, if you're able to pull up my
There's an existing.
screen
house.
again.
Yeah, please.
That's right here.
Okay, so this blue area has the existing home on it.
Okay,
The green is currently vacant, separate lot, but vacant. So question number one was, okay, we know we can replace this because it has an existing septic system. Or, I guess question one, or A, was could we build on this lot being less than the county minimum 1 acre? That was the variance we were requesting as part of A.
so what we're saying at this point is that you can't do that.
Correct.
And the other one, we have a unanimous yes.
The other lot, we're not even voting on the blue.
Correct.
The blue, we're just voting on green.
That is correct.
I'm just trying to follow my directions here. Called for the vote. We've got 2 votes. So at this point, we have 1 approval and 1 denial. And that's final. We don't need to take any more action on those.
So B is final approved, that doesn't need to be appealed, that side. If Mr. Brazel wants to appeal Part A to the council, that's what would happen then.
Right, okay.
Yep.
Just wanted to make sure I
That'd be the next
understood.
steps.
Okay.
All right. Well, there you have it.
Do we have anything else except for approval of minutes, or
No.
you got anything?
Approval minutes, yep.
Motion to approve the February 6, 2025 minutes.
I wasn't here. Somebody else want to second that?
Yeah. I can't, I'm not supposed to.
I'll second it.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And I've already signed it. All right, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.